Good day, friends. It has been a minute since I have been doing my sports talk, but this time I want to do something a little different, and I want to do something called a sports wrap, which is basically just going to highlight all of the big talking points that took place during the weekend. So first of all, I just want to start off by offering my condolences to Bonginkosi Ntuli's family, the Amazulu player who passed away on Sunday afternoon. It is just such a tragic thing that took place. He passed away yesterday. He was recently diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer. That is what we know so far as the media. And it is just particularly very heartbreaking because he got married 2 months ago. So just 2 months after his wedding, his wife has to bury her husband. It is all very, very sad. I am sending my condolences and strength to the Ntuli family during this difficult time. So, moving on, I also just want to talk about the Cricket World Cup. So South Africa are in the semi-finals. That has been confirmed. That was confirmed 2 weeks back. However, they played a crunching game against India on Sunday, and it was not looking good for South Africa. India won the game by a landslide, but we will see as we progress further into the World Cup what is going to take place. Should we face India again? I'm hoping possibly in the final, then maybe South Africa will be able to show up. And since we're on the wave of international news, when it comes to the Springboks, the country is still on a high after the Springboks, the South African national rugby team, won the Rugby World Cup for the fourth time, for a record-breaking fourth time. And the country has been on a high. But I just wanted to talk about head coach Jacques Nienaber. So a lot of South Africans were actually under the impression, I think it's the ones who didn't really, who are not really into sports. They assumed that Rassie Erasmus was still the head coach of the Springboks. No, it was not. It was Jacques Nienaber. So Nienaber is going to leave his role as the head coach of the Springboks, and Rassie Erasmus will be reprising his role as the head coach of the Springboks, which is absolutely fantastic news. He has a proven track record. I think he did a lot for the diversity of the team when he was first selected to do the job. So I think it will just be a continuation of there. He was still very much involved in the South African rugby national team as the director of rugby, but I'm extremely happy to see him coming back into the coaching and being the head coach once more. So hopefully in 2027, South Africa will be making it a record-breaking 5 World Cups. A girl can hope. And of course, Sundowns were playing their African Football League final against Wydad, and they lost 2-1. That was the first leg. They were playing it away, and the second leg will be played on the 12th of November, which will be on a Sunday, and hopefully they will be able to redeem themselves and perhaps get their hands on the trophy. But to be honest, I think that is highly unlikely. And I think when South African football teams participate on the African stage, on the CAF stage of football, where they are now not competing against only South African teams, but also competing against African teams on a broader horizon, that's where we start to see the inconsistencies in terms of South African local football. My biggest concern with the local football landscape in South Africa is I just think that there is not enough attention given to the development, the youth channels as well. I just don't think that people who are talented are really being given a chance, and this is not to take away from the players who have made it into the top flight. That's not to take away from them, but we would love to see more young players making their way into these squads, because a trend that has been taking place in South African football for quite a while now is Most of the players are averaging, over the age of 30 in the starting lineup. So that is something that I think should be changing. Let's give young players more of a chance. And now moving on to the English Premier League, my favorite league. Unfortunately, Arsenal lost against Newcastle. Right off the back of that Carabao Cup defeat to West Ham. So I was very disappointed as an Arsenal fan to lose. It was the first time that we were beaten in the league. I was very disappointed by that result because VAR did us dirty once again. The ball was out of play when it was played in, but the goal still stood. And this has been causing a discussion around VAR and how it's being utilized in the English Premier League, because Arsenal is not the only team that has suffered from the inconsistencies that come with VAR. So VAR is something that was brought into the game of football to help referees make the right decisions. That's why it is called VAR, which stands for Video Assistant Referee. But it seems as though it is not quite doing the job. And I think if this sort of thing continues, then rather why is it just not abolished? Rather we just forget about it and move on. Manchester City, though, had a very emphatic win against Bournemouth. They won 6-1, and they are sitting pretty at the top of the table, which seems to be their favorite place in the English Premier League. Of course, they won the league last season, but this time around, I think it is going to be a very competitive title race. I don't think it's going to be just between Arsenal and Manchester City like last season. I think this season around, Liverpool will be involved in there as well, because they seem to have improved, especially after acquiring the services of Szoboszlai. And of course, Tottenham are also doing very well. They are still unbeaten in the league, and they will be facing Chelsea later today on Monday Night Football, and we will see what happens. Chelsea have really been looking like a shadow of their former selves, but I think it is just natural. It's natural when a team is going through a rebuild and a restructuring. That sort of thing is just bound to happen. And of course, the cherry on top, I think, of the sporting week is that both the men and women South African national hockey teams have qualified for the Paris 2024 Olympics. So it's looking good for South Africa. South Africa is doing very, very well. And I think just now all the pressure is going to be on Bafana Bafana to perform like the rest of the national sporting teams in this country. And that's it from me. I am signing out. Let me know what you think about the week's sporting events.